The Five Live Cricket Show.
Welcome along then, Henry Moran here, and it is not only Test Week for England men's cricketers, it is the beginning of a new era under Brendan Mccomb. England's new Red Ball head coach will be joining us in the second half of this programme, and Phil Tufnell alongside me. He is a man you know well. What can England expect from the former New Zealand skipper?
Well, Henry, he's a top man, very approachable, very relaxed, hasn't got a negative bone in his body, and he'll look to get this England side playing cricket on the front foot, so to speak, but also measured cricket. It won't all be crash, bang, wallop. Great thinker about the game. I reckon he could just be what England need.
Black Caps, the touring side, World Test champions. It doesn't get much harder than this, does it?
No, it's going to be a tough start. Well-disciplined side, experienced, they know their strengths, know their weaknesses, stick to their plans, wonderfully led by Kane Williamson. It is going to be a tough start, and they know how to win games of Test cricket.
Well, we'll hear from Johnny Bairstow later on in the programme. I caught up with him at Lord's earlier on today. Mark Wood, the England fast bowler, will join us shortly as well. Do get in touch at 5Live Sport on social media, 85058 on the text.
The Five Live Cricket Show.
Welcome along then, Phil Tufnell and I, along with various guests over the course of the next hour until Colin Murray takes over at 10 p.m. Loads to talk about. And of course, Brendan Mccomb, England's new men's test head coach, with us in the second half of the programme. Now, tough as normally this time of year, first test of the summer, we're quite excited. I saw the balloons up in your house in the background a moment ago as well. It is all kicking off. How are you feeling ahead of Thursday? Because this feels like a new start in so many ways.
It does indeed. Well, for a start off, I'm a little bit miffed because I'm missing out on 3 bank holidays, I think, aren't I? You know what I mean, with this test match. But you're right, I'm really, really looking forward to it. England, listen, not in a great place, 1 out of 17. We know all these stats and everything. But you're right, I'm really excited for Thursday. I think Rob Key's come in and given English cricket a little bit of a buzz with his appointments. Love the appointments of Brendan Mccomb. Love the appointment of Ben Stokes. Think they're going to work really, really well together. And I was down at Lord's today, and there was a buzz about it. So really looking forward. I can't wait for it to start on Thursday. And I've had a look at the weather, and I think it's going to be all right because I was freezing down there today.
I was there too, Tuffers. It was horrible. And fair play to the England team as well, because they were going through their training drills with more enthusiasm perhaps the weather warranted. Right, and someone we all wish was there as part of the England side as our first guest for you this evening. Fast bowler Mark Wood is with us. Woody, how are you doing? First of all, how's that elbow?
Hi guys, not too bad. I've had a little bit of a blip where it's not happening quite as quick as I wanted. I was hoping to be playing back now, but that hasn't happened. So trying to get I'm back bowling, which is great, but I've just got to get over that little hurdle of the swelling, and I'll be right back at it.
Yeah, what's the blip, Woody? What happened?
Just I got my half run up, and the elbow just started swelling up again, which is, I think, fairly normal after surgery. Maybe I pushed it a bit hard, a bit too quick. I'm not sure, but I had to just ease it back for a week, and I've started, going okay again now. So we'll just see what happens, but not too bad. I think elbows, I've been told, are a little bit unpredictable, but in terms of my ankle, I still don't feel like this is a real injury. I'm like, what's going on? I've had all these ankle things. What's this elbow thing about? So I'm hoping to, get past it quickly and start playing again.
What are we looking at? Is there any sort of time frame on it?
Well, like I said, originally I was hoping to be around the 2020s for Durham and then get back to England as soon as I could. I think the test matches was probably going to be a bit too soon, obviously New Zealand stuff, but that's going to be miles too soon now. So I think it's just a case of, I haven't got a time scale. I just wanted to get it right, and when it's right, I'll be flying in. But at the minute, I think I probably pushed it too hard, thinking I need to get back for them 2020s. I want to get in Amsterdam with England, and maybe by just, going a bit hard too soon, I've just stirred it up a little bit. So all good now. Had a nice week where it sort of let it calm down, and all right now.
Tough as this new era that we're speaking about, this need for an overhaul. Yeah. I mean, how necessary has it been to shift all elements of the setup?
Well, it wasn't going great, was it? Let's be fair. Felt a little bit sorry for Joe Root. Had a lot of things to contend with, didn't he? I mean, listen, batted wonderfully during this sort of last couple of years when things haven't been going so well. But I think there does come a time. I think captains do have a bit of a shelf life, and I think coaches do have a bit of a shelf life. You can keep saying the same things and keep wanting to put the messages over and trying so hard, but then sometimes I think that it just sort of sometimes goes over people's heads a little bit. So I think the time was right. I'm sure Joe is right behind Ben. I mean, that was a pretty easy for me kind of appointment. You know, look around the team, crikey, O'Reilly, there's not too many who are going to sort of like play one game after the other, so it had to be Ben. But I must admit, I was a bit taken aback by Brendan McCullum's appointment. But when I thought about it, I just thought, wow, that is going to be, I think that's just what England need. And I think him and Stokes working together, you know, are just the kind of guys to get that smile back on England cricket fans and England cricket players' faces and really sort of drag them up by the scruff of the neck and say, come on, let's get cracking. I think it's going to be really good.
Woody, I know you're away from the group at the moment, but is there a sense of that excitement?
Well, I'm not, like you say, right in it, but I can tell you I'm excited. Even, you know, listening to Tough as that, he's exactly right. I think, you know, the two players that are dynamic players, that are exciting players. You know, Brendan McComb was that type of player. Stokes is, if we're not hitting sixes left, right and centre, I'll be amazed now with these two. But I think, look, like you said, I think that smile, the freshness, it'll all be, you know, the group will be sort of re-energised, I guess, in a way, probably this week. It'll be nice, the fact that we've been away, we're coming back to home conditions, that always brings a freshness as well when you're back at home, the excitement of Lords. And I think that whole, you know, McCullum-Stokes thing, everybody's just got a, like, Stokes will have fresh ideas, but everyone's just got a bit of a buzz about them, haven't we? I think it's something different and something that everybody can be, you know, really looking forward to. It's not going to happen quick, and everybody knows that. It's not like these things didn't get fixed straight away or whatever, but I think thinking of what could be and what could happen, then there's plenty to be, you know, very, very excited about.
Yeah, I don't think... I totally agree with Woody there. I think it's baby steps, you know, crikey. We're not going to go out and start smashing 500s and 600s and everything, you know, and there's a lot of injuries in the bowling department as well, so there's all that to factor into it. But I don't think... You know, everyone sees Brendan McCullum as this crash bang wallop kind of guy, white ball, you know, legend who goes out there and looks to hit sixes and fours and everything like that. There's a lot more to Brendan than that. He's already said in his sort of statements and what have you that, you know, he sees Test cricket as the pinnacle. You know, and I'm really enthused about that, about how England has got to be a really good Test playing nation, you know, if anything, to sort of save Test cricket in a kind of way. And so I'm really happy that he's at the helm. I don't expect England to be sort of, you know, going out there and being ultra positive, but what they will do is that they'll be sort of freed up. There's a lot made of culture, isn't there? And, you know, the culture of the team and the brand of the team. And I think that these two guys slowly but surely are going to get that right. And as I said in the opener, sort of just get England looking to play good, positive, attacking cricket. And that's all we want at the end of the day, isn't it?
I think you've only got to look at the opposition side and look at what McCullum did with them. You know, the foundations were set with New Zealand. Now it's Williamson's team, but he set the foundations of that team, and that team that's experienced now, it knows, everybody knows their rules, they know what they're doing. McCullum set that up, so as captain of the team, and we all know that in a sort of strange way, it was McCullum's one-day team and the blueprint that our one-day team sort of went after. So, you know, that connection there, and now we're going back to the sort of connection again of the Test match between England and New Zealand. You might see a similar blueprint to what we had in the one-days as well.
Well, let's hear from the England camp that's down at Lords. I caught up with batter Johnny Bairstow earlier on today. I asked him, first of all, what his reaction was to finding out that Brendan McCullum was going to be his new Red Bull coach.
Intrigued. I was really intrigued and excited about what qualities he can bring. I've not worked with him previously, but heard some amazing things, and that's the excitement levels that someone like him and the appointment of him can bring to the group. His career when he was playing was outstanding, and then obviously what he's done in the IPL from a head coach's point of view has also been great. And I think it's the environment that he creates and how he goes about it that's the thing that's intrigued me the most, because he played it in an exciting way, and I'm sure that the way that he wants people to play and go out and express themselves is also that way too.
you're a huge part of the way England's white ball team changed and evolved between 2015 and 19. How exciting is it to be on the cusp of what everyone recognises has to be a transition?
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. It took a period of time, didn't it, for that transition to happen. I think everyone's well aware that it didn't just happen overnight, and there was a few trials and tribulations along the way with that as well. It didn't just fall in, but there was a vision, and that vision was stuck by. People might have, well, I know people said it was the wrong way or the right way, but look, it was the way in which someone had the bravery to go, right, this is actually the way that we're going to play, and we're going to stick to that. And that person was Morgs. And look, it's exciting.
What are you expecting from Ben Stokes, the captain?
Not much to change from Ben Stokes, the player. I think that he wears his heart on his sleeve, and you know that. The way he goes about his bowling, his batting, it's all wholehearted stuff, isn't it? And I think that'll be the same. Yeah, it's going to be a learning experience for him as well. Let's not like take anything away from that. We need to understand and recognise that it's going to be a learning curve, but the experience that he's got around him, and the visions that he's got are great, and that is something that if we can all pull together in the right direction, then it's going to be an exciting brand of cricket.
Would you urge England supporters to have patience, excitement ahead of this new era? What's the feeling?
Both, which is obviously quite tricky at times because it can be a double-edged sword. But like I said, with regard to the white ball stuff, that transition didn't just happen overnight, and I think that's something that naturally is going to happen, because it doesn't necessarily all just fall straight into place. But like you say, it is exciting, but there is going to have to be a bit of patience as well.
Now, Mark, he looked me square in the eye and said both is required, excitement and patience. You were a big part of the white ball revolution, if you like, 2015 to 19, but it didn't happen overnight.
Yeah, and I thought Johnny spoke brilliantly there. I thought everything that he said was spot on. I think, things like you mentioned with believing in it and sticking with it, even when, if it doesn't quite happen straight away or there's little bumps, it's about having the stubbornness, or I guess the peace of mind to know, look, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to stick at it, and this is the way that we see the team going forward. And I think as long as everybody's pulling in the same direction, which Stokesy naturally does to people just from his character and the way he is, he'll be nervous. Stokesy will be nervous that first morning, as I'm sure Morgie was when he first started and trying to sort of set the next lot up. But I think he'll be nervous. That's natural. But I think by the way that he plays and the way that he carries himself when he plays cricket, not necessarily speaking or all the rest of the stuff that comes with it, but when he's on the field at Lords, I think he'd be fantastic, and he can really set that team up with the clear rules of clear individuals. He's already sort of started, you're going to bat here, I'm going to back you, you're going to bowl. I think he's already sort of started that clear sort of vision for people's rules. And I think if everybody backs that leadership and does it the same way Stokesy does, then we'll do well.
Who's going to get the ball out of his hand when he's bowling, though, would he?
Well, I don't know who's going to tell him to stop. That's the problem. We haven't got anybody now. I'm not quite sure who's going to tell him.
Well, I thought it was really interesting what Johnny Bairstow said there about Ben Stokes, about it needing to be a little bit of a learning curve. And actually, there's patience required with that role as well, not just the identity of this team, but Ben Stokes as a captain.
Well, I mean, it's the sort of situation we're in, isn't it? England captains learn the role of captaincy when they're captaining England, isn't it? They very rarely do it. Joe Root had to do it. I think Alistair Cook might have captained Essex for a little bit before he came into the job. So, listen, he's going to have all the minds around him and all the analysts and everything to help him out as well. I think also for Ben, they've got to think about taking that pressure off of him a little bit and still allowing him to go out and play those wonderful innings and steam in and everything without all that extra baggage of being captain. So I think that Brendan's going to have to do that a little bit as well, and all the people in the staff. Sort of take all that baggage away from him. Just let him be that cricketer, that England cricketer and England captain on the field. It's going to take a little bit of time. You're going to have to get the feel for the way you want to play and the way you want to rotate your bowlers and sort of get the sort of style, your style, which will come as a captain, because they sort of like imprint themselves over time on the players. But I mean, what an imprint to have, Ben Stokes.
Is he going to be able to stop himself from over bowling? Would he?
I think it may be Mccomb from the balcony. We might see it from the first time. Get off, you've had enough. It might be the first time ever that happens at Lords. But Now, I think Stokesy at times, even like under Root's captaincy, he just never wanted to come off. He just wanted to keep bowling and bowling. I'm sure that obviously when he's captain, he'll manage it well, but he's someone that never ever gives up, and I think that's probably the thing that's exciting going into his captaincy, is that, you know, it might not be plain sailing early doors, but he will never give up and he'll never stop trying to get us the right result.
Yeah, and also it's going to be handy to have Rooty there as well. Listen, you know, Joe Root is going to be there. He's the kind of guy, he's not going to sit there and sulk. He's going to be right behind the new captain, use all his experience as well. So, you know, I think, you know, some of the best teams that I've played in, you know, there've been almost 4 or 5 captains out there, really. You know, okay, one fella sort of like trying to, you know, impose himself and everything, but he'll have lots of little sergeants dotted about, and I think Rooty will have a big role to play in that as well.
They're close mates, and that sort of loyalty that Stokesy showed Rooty, I'm sure Rooty will do the same to Stokesy. That they've got that sort of bond of being in the trenches together when it's been hard, so they'll look after each other. I'm sure Rooty will help Stokesy whenever he can. And, you know, if you look at when Stokesy was captain of the one-day side, when everybody had COVID and we had to change side, you know, you look, Zach Crawley was in that side, other lads, and they all spoke really highly of Stokesy and said his captaincy was really good, he was really clear. So I think they'll already have the respect for him as a player, but a few of them actually already have the respect for him as a captain as well, even without having a game. So I think that that's a real positive for him.
Have you spoken to him much, Mark, since he got the captaincy?
Honestly, not that much. I haven't wanted to bother him that much when he's had all this other stuff going on. I mean, I've seen him at Durham a couple of times when he's been playing championship cricket and things like that, but I haven't wanted to bother him too much. He always has loads on his plate anyway, so I don't think he'll be too bothered with it, I think, anyway.
I think, you know what I mean? I mean, a lot of people say, do people get weighed down by the captaincy? I can see Ben Stokes almost going up another level, you know, with that sort of captaincy on him. I mean, look at the way he's come out and played for Durham. I mean, he played beautifully, hasn't he, Woody, when he's been up there? You know what I mean? He's really got into it. He looks like he could have another gear. I mean, and if Ben Stokes has got another gear, look out. You know, we're in for something special. But you're right in what you say, and Johnny Bairstow hit the nail on the head. Just let's give it time to breathe. You know, it's not going to happen overnight.
And that responsibility that we're talking about before with the ball in his hand, I still think that even though that was a perfect point there about Stokesy as a captain, I still think that he'll have the peace of mind to just step back when it's time, because actually the responsibility of being captain might actually bring the best out of him. That responsibility of being the man that has to make the right decision, or it might be, I'm going to step up at this point and take it on my own shoulders to bowl this spell. It could actually be a real positive thing as well.
That form you mentioned, Tuffers, that game at Worcester, 34 he scored off and over, 64 ball century, 17 sixes in an innings of 161.
I mean, that's absolute pongo. That is absolute carnage, isn't it? And I saw that on social media, the poor little left arm spinner. But did it say that he went to have a little word with him afterwards and put his arm around him and said, listen, mate, you know what I mean? That was just my day and everything. But he nearly got the 6 sixes, didn't he? I mean, it was a 1 bounce 4, which went straight back over his head. But then that's also another side that we might see. And Woody, you might be able to tell me more about this, that he's not just that sort of like, you know, flame-haired fella with the tattoos who goes out there and wants to, you know, sort of, you know, knock down brick walls and stuff. There's a little bit more to him, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, obviously he's got this alpha persona, big guy, you mentioned there, but actually he's a real caring person as well. You just have to ask Jofra Archer about things that he said before the World Cup. Super over. You know, there's instances with myself where he's come over and put his arm around us and told us to stick my chest out and head up and stuff like that. So he's a real caring guy as well. I mean, you might not see it a lot in interviews or like his persona on the field, because obviously he carries that confidence, but actually in the dressing room he cares about people. He wants to see the best for them and he wants to get the best out of them as well, and that's why he's got them natural leadership qualities anyway, whether he was captain or not. You know, he cared about people, he wanted the best, he wanted the team to win, and I think, you know, looking out for people like that certainly will you know, make people gravitate towards him and want to do well for him.
3 or 4 years ago, I remember in Sri Lanka we were covering an ODI series there. And the conditions there as a bowler, it's as tough as it gets. It's humid, it's 35 degrees. And they'd had a day out in the field, England, and we all went back to the hotel, staying at the same hotel as the England team. And a few of us journalists went to the gym and were sort of wheezing on the treadmill. Stokes straight there, sprinting on the treadmill until the trainer came and said, "You've got to stop. Enough is enough." I mean, he's a different beast, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, but and he's got to manage that a little bit, because it is more pressurised being England captain. It's as simple as that. He's going to have to be able to get those little times away, have those breaks. You don't have to go down there and completely slog yourself to death. I mean, Woody tells me would know better that he's this trainer. He leads by example and what have you. But he's just going to have to find that sort of point where he's comfortable a little bit now. You know what I mean? Sometimes you do have to, as captain, just pull yourself away a little bit and just look sort of like the other way, sort of like into the side. You know what I mean? Instead of just sort of, as you say, training, batting, running, bowling, this, that and the other. He's got to have those little pressures and anxieties taken off of him. And so he's going to need someone actually to say, stop bowling, get off the treadmill. You know what I mean? Because, it's going to be fascinating just to see how it all unravels. And that's why I think we're all excited, isn't it? That's why we're so excited. I say down there at Lord's today, and I've been looking on social media, Stuart Broad saying, "Oh, what a wonderful day. Loved every minute of it. Everyone was running about, weren't they? Everyone was smiling. Everyone was throwing themselves around." And so it's a good start. Let's not get carried away, because this New Zealand side are a top side. But I'm just excited for Thursday. If the sun's shining, Lords, it doesn't get any better than this. And you just feel that there's a little new era going to be springing up.
And fresh faces always help that as well. And there are a few fresh faces.
Yeah,
not least because of the frontline bowlers that are missing. By my count, 8 of them, including yourself, Woody, Archer, Stone, Wokes, Fisher, Mahmood, Curran, Robinson, and one name in the squad, Matty Potts, who's an exciting talent. I mean, you know him reasonably well. What can you tell us?
First, he's built like a tank, is what I would say. He's someone that charges in all day from the first spell to the last spell. He doesn't seem to drop off. And people have asked us in the last week or couple of weeks, what's the best thing about Potsy? He has a knack of getting wickets when you think nothing's happening. He's honestly at Durham, when the wickets have been a little bit flat, or you think, oh, they're building a partnership. Potsy's been the man to come on and get a wicket out of nothing. One that'll rise off the wicket, or one that'll swing from nowhere. He's got a real knack of getting wickets out of when you think nothing's happening.
What does he look to do? Would he just sort of like, good pace, or sort of like top of off stump, swing, seam?
I would say heavy pace. I wouldn't say express, but heavy pace. And someone that gets... So I would say his stock would be a way swing, but he can move the ball back as well. So he's got... I think that's the killer, really, isn't it? If you can move the ball at pace, that's the one that's going to be deadly. I think obviously playing at Lords, or if he does get picked at Lords, I think it'll be something that he's going to have to... Or the mistake that I made is I took too much in as in playing for England, but actually his character is one that he's very confident. He just sort of gets on and does it. He doesn't think too much about it. He just gets on. Whatever's in front of him. What about this? Yeah, I'll have a go at that. What do you think about this? Yeah, come on, let's just have a go. He's that kind of lad. So he's very confident. He'll just have a right go. So that hopefully, if he does play, he doesn't make that mistake of, I'm playing for England, there's cameras, there's loads of people watching, it's the first test, I'm at Lords, all that kind of stuff, which can affect you. But with him, I'm not sure it really will.
Yeah, it's a lovely article on the BBC Sport website from our colleague Matt Henry, all about Matty Potts. And one of the things that stood out to me, Tuffers, went to school with Jordan Pickford, the England goalkeeper. Apparently very similar characters.
Well, there you go. That's what we want to see. And I like that he's got a knack to take wickets when nothing's happening. I wished I'd have had that knack, because that's worth all the balls you bowl in the nets and all the away swinners. If you've got a little bit of a golden arm, that is what gets you through. And as you say, you've got to have that ability as a fast bowler to just steam in all day. And as Woody said there, his paces don't drop off. A lot of people say, as a he was quick in his first spell, but how's he going to come back after tea? But that sounds great. Looking forward to seeing if he gets a go.
And what sort of attack are we looking at for England? Because there's been so much talk about how the side has been rotated, shuffled, moved around. Broad and Anderson, are they going to play? It's a really difficult conundrum, this, for Brendan McCullum, isn't it?
No, because I think them two are definitely going to play. I think you're probably
1,200 wickets there.
Them two are definitely going to play. I think obviously Stokes, and then you've got your big decision of Overton or Potts. Craig
can he bat a bit, Potts? What's his batting form like?
Yeah, he's all right. He's all right.
Yeah?
Yep, definitely can bat. I think Craig is probably more of an out-and-out batter than Pottsy, but Craig, he's been for years. Craig gets wickets, has been getting early wickets in county championship seasons. So it'll just be whether Stokesy wants to take a punt on someone new and try something different, or he knows what he's going to get with Craig, and he can stick with him. I mean, Craig in English conditions certainly seems more comfortable, and I think that a bit like with Wokesy, when the ball moves around, he's a lot more deadly.
Tuffers, what would you do in terms of that bowling lineup? Is it as simple as Broad and Anderson straight in? Because there have been some whispers from some in the media on social media saying Anderson, yes, but maybe not Broad.
Well, I'd be a brave man to bring Broad and Anderson back and then go up to them and then go, sorry lads, you're not playing. Crikey on Ollie, I wouldn't fancy being that bloke because he would get a flea in his ear. So I'm pretty sure, from what I've been hearing, that Broad and Anderson will play. I think they must play. I think, as you say, it'll be good to get that experience back in the side. I think that Ben Stokes has almost said that he wants them to play, hasn't he? Overton or Potts, don't know. Let's have a think. You know what I mean? Probably going to be Overton as well. It hasn't been a whole sort of shift, has it? You know what I mean? For the squad, you know what I mean? It has been. There's been a few little faces come in, but I don't think it's going to be a complete throw out and let's all start again. So I can just see them easing themselves into this summer. It's a long and it's going to be a tough summer. India, South Africa, New Zealand. I mean, South Africa on the rise as well. We all know how good India is. Let's just take it steady. So I should imagine Overton will get the nod.
New Zealand then as an opponent, Phil Tufnell, Mark Wood. It's one of those assignments where you think sometimes in England when it's a cold, murky day earlier in summer, it could work in England's favour. But these are conditions that actually will suit New Zealand pretty well if it's a little bit like it was today on Thursday.
Very similar sort of conditions to New Zealand. I'm sure there'll be a bit of help for the seam bowlers, and they've got some belters. I've heard that. I'm not quite sure whether Trent Boult will be playing, but they're disciplined, they're well organised, as you said. They're experienced. They know how to plot their way through a game of Test cricket. They won't get too carried away. They bowl to their plans, and with the bat, they'll get stuck in. They'll miss Ross Taylor. That's a few Test centuries there that they'll be without since he's retired, but wonderfully led by Kane Williamson as well. So and what a player he is. But I suspect that the seamers, if they keep seeing this sort of drizzle and sort of chilly sort of winds, and if it's just starting to warm up, that Lord's pitch might do a little bit.
Woody, we know how important build-up is towards a series. It's not been ideal for New Zealand in any way. They lost a couple of days at Hove, washed out to the weather, also struggled in that game against the County 11 at Chelmsford.
Yeah, they did.
Lost the game, found themselves in a horrible position in the second innings at 19 for 6. Is there a little bit of, I suppose, vulnerability? Ross Taylor having moved on, and this is a side that maybe is just on the cusp of things?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They're an all-round side. I don't care if you've got a green seam pitch, if you've got a good batting pitch or a spin pitch. These lads have got all things covered. All-round side, like we said, led well. I wouldn't read too much into the warm-up game. I honestly wouldn't. I think when it comes to that first day, they'll be more than ready for us. So we'll have to, raise our game as well. They're a good side, a very good side, and they've turned up in these conditions. They've won last year. They won in the Test Championship. They know how to play in English conditions. They're well led. The only thing that I can think of is, a few of them have come from the IPL, different format. Could that maybe affect them? I don't know, but a brilliant side, and I'm sure that I wouldn't read too much into it. They'll be ready.
Did they? Was it last year when they came out? I've lost me years from all this messing about over the last couple of years. They played really well, didn't they? And played really well against India down at Southampton. So they'll be ready for us. That's for sure. You never take. I think those days have gone now of slightly underestimating a New Zealand side, and as Woody was saying there, they will be ready for us without doubt.
Woody, before we let you go, what are you expecting from this first Test match?
I think, maybe just seeing how the new ideas of Mccomb and Stokes, how we're going to try and play, I think that may come to the surface. But I think all in all, I think it'll be, excitement around the first game that's going to be, packed out loads. So I think that buzz, can we feed off that and try and put New Zealand under pressure early, whether we're batting or bowling. I think, don't overcomplicate it. It'll be another Test match for England versus New Zealand, two good international sides. I mean, you don't get many bad international players, do you? So it'll be a hard game, a tough game, but one that we've got to believe we can win, and I'm sure that the lads are setting up with all this buzz and excitement to start well.
Mark Wood, thank you for joining us. Look after that elbow, most important.
Cheers, lads.
We'll speak
Cheers,
to you
Woody.
very soon. Cheers, Woody. Good to speak to you. And Tuffers, just on that, it is going to be a big 5 days for England, this, isn't it? It is, start of a new era. There's always going to be that expectation to start well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Looking forward to it. Can't wait. Baby steps, though. Slowly but surely.
Indeed. I'm very pleased to say we're joined by Brendan Mccomb. He's the England men's Test coach. And Tuffers, this is somebody that you know rather well. Good evening to you, Brendan, first of all. Thank you for joining us. This is a relationship reunited, you and Tuffers.
Very good evening, lads. Lovely to speak to you guys. And Tuffers, we've had some good times together. And now we're sort of in a more of a formal kind of position.
Wow.
So look after me, please.
Of course, mate. Of course. How are you settling in, Baz? How are you settling in, mate? Nice to hear you.
Yeah, good to talk to you, mate. No, I'm settling in well, actually. The guys have been really accommodating, and obviously there's a little bit of apprehension around, coming into a new environment, and especially as head coach, and environment's pretty established too. But the guys have been fantastic, and all I can do is just bring in my positivity and my ideas, and really support the skipper and the leaders within the team, and hopefully we're able to get some sort of instant results, and a little bit of that positivity can bear about some positive results.
Yeah, now Baz and me, I was invited down to New Zealand for 4 or 5 weeks, and Baz took me round and showed me a fantastic time down in the wonderful New Zealand. Played a little bit of golf, drank a bit of wine, ate some beautiful seafood. But one thing I couldn't understand, Baz, is how comes I was the one who got thrown off the highest building in Auckland, got thrown out of the aeroplane over Lake Taupo, and also had to do the highest bungee jump in the Southern Hemisphere? How come it was all me, mate?
Well, you sort of said to me that you really wanted to experience everything that New Zealand had to offer, and I thought, well, what better way than to just take you outside your comfort zone, Tuffers, and just enjoy some of our real sort of scenery down there as well. But no, I had an amazing amount of admiration for you for what you did, especially that last one, the big bungee jump out there on the what was it called? The Nevis or something?
Yes.
Oh, it was frightening just going out there in the cart, let alone you actually jumped out and off that.
I threw up 2 times going to it, didn't I? Had to stop the car and I had a little cheeky hurl.
In Louis Vuitton. Just outside Louis Vuitton, if I remember rightly. That was ironic.
And I tell you, if you're going to throw up somewhere, do it outside a posh shop, Baz. That's what I say. Could always get a sponsorship there if they're listening. And the other thing, I'll tell you something, I hope you've got them on speed dial for the boys when they get a little bit of a side strain or a bit of a pull. What were those 2 wonderful Maori ladies who gave us the massage?
Yeah.
Was it the midi?
What was it called? Midi, that's right.
Yeah. Oh,
that was an experience, wasn't it?
Wasn't it? You need to get the England batters that, because my eyes just opened so wide after that. It was amazing. I could have hit me hitting 6s everywhere.
Tough as,
I think you said you
discussing
felt like your
sports massage
bones
with
were
you was
being
not what I was
massaged.
expecting at this stage in the conversation.
Yeah, sorry, bring it back to sport. Sorry, mate.
Right. Brendan, I mean, first of all, I think that we were all a little bit surprised to hear that this was a job that you'd gone for and that you would be taking up. And with the form England are in, 1 win in 17, why do you want to do it?
Yeah, well, look, I guess it's. I mean, I had a pretty good life beforehand, to be honest. I had my own radio show back in New Zealand and breakfast radio show, and I had plenty of TV work, and I was obviously coaching the IPL. So, yeah, it was sort of one of those things which you kind of look at and you go, well, yeah, if you're prepared to change your life something, then it needs to be something really worthwhile. And look, I looked at obviously the performance of England side in the last little while, knowing that the job was available, and I sort of thought, well, maybe my skills of trying to free players up and block out some of the noise and bring about some positivity might sit comfortably with them. And it's grunty enough of a job to warrant changing your life for. And yeah, look, the other thing is Test cricket to me has always been my favourite form of the game, and I've made a good living out of the shorter versions of the game, but Test cricket's always been the pinnacle for me, and the opportunity to try and lead a nation such as England, who I think is the only one who can really sort of buck the trend of probably what Test cricket sits at the moment, which is slightly declining somewhat, if we're being honest. And I sort of thought, well, how good an opportunity is this? Thankfully, all those people that sit in those positions backed me, and it's a big job at hand.
I mean, tough as that's quite a big thing, isn't it? That overall responsibility for the Test.
Well, absolutely. Crikey, O'Reilly, wow, good luck, mate. How are you going to do that, Baz? What's your plan? What's your plan?
Well, hopefully we'll take 20 wickets on regular occasions, and we sort of hold our catches, and we're able to put a bit of pressure back on the opposition with the bat in hand. But pretty simple, to be honest. Tough, isn't it? It's like, I think there's an immense amount of talent within English cricket, right? There's some of the game's greatest players that we've ever seen, and in this 11 that'll be playing in a couple of days' time. And then there's a lot of guys who've got heaps of potential. So it's just trying to really sort of, I guess, along with the skipper and who plays the game how I like the game to be played as well, with the real free spirit. Just try and free the guys up and just really sort of block a little bit of that noise out and allow their skills and their talents to come to the fore. And hopefully, if we're able to do that, then we'll be able to get some success on the board early. And we all know, once you get some early success, things can snowball really quickly for you, and you can very, very quickly you can start to be challenging the better teams around the world consistently.
And now that relationship with Ben Stokes, you say sort of kindred spirits, and this shared philosophy, I mean, that's an important part of any coach-captain duo, isn't it?
Oh, I think it's the most important relationship in cricket. The captain and the coach, they're the ones who set they set the culture, or set the vibe, for want of a better word, amongst the entire group, and they've got to remain consistent with their messaging right throughout. And we both have a vision for where we want to take this team, and it is very much aligned. We don't know each other overly well, but it's a relationship I'm certainly looking forward to growing, and looking forward to being able to support Ben in every bit of the journey. And he's a fiercely determined person. He's a strong leader. He's the type of leader that people will follow as well. And he's a guy who I think everyone worries about if it's overloading Ben Stokes by making him captain. Well, I look at it and I say, imagine if he really thrives in it. Imagine how great that product could be and what that could do for the rest of the side. So I'm looking forward to that relationship for sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to be crucial, isn't it? I mean, it's a big job, isn't it, being England captain? A lot of people seem to think, you just go out there, set the field. There's a lot of other things that go with it. Are you going to try and ease those sort of, that workload on him, so to speak, away from the cricket?
Yeah, I think so. Tough as, look, I think whilst we're probably, as I mentioned, we're kindred spirits in a way, in the way that we go about the game. He's the captain, and he's got the pressures of playing on the field. So my job will very much to be to plug some of those gaps off the field, take away some of those stresses and those responsibilities, and and allow him to do what he enjoys doing the most, which is playing the game of cricket and leading those guys around him. And not just me, but a lot of our support staff and some of the leaders within the group as well. And one of the things which will be important is developing younger leaders as well, so that our messaging cuts across the entire group, and therefore the pressures aren't always solely resting on the shoulders of Ben. Other people are able to shoulder some of that burden at times as well.
Do you see quite a lot of the cricketer that you were in the cricketer that Ben Stokes is?
He's a far better cricketer than I ever was, that's for sure. He's one of those guys who. He's one of those guys who I think the harder it is, the more he steps up. I think if you look at some of the innings that he's played, or even the spells that he's bowled and catches that he's taken, he's always in those big moments. And I envy that, I think, because being an all-rounder, you thrust yourself into those situations. I was a bit different, I guess, because where I sort of operated in the side in limited overs format, it was at the top of the order, and where I batted in Test cricket, you're sort of reacting to some things at times. So, look, I think he's a far, far better cricketer. I see elements in his game which are similar to mine, but I see someone whose ceiling is a lot higher than I was able to have as a player, and that's the exciting thing for now, me as a coach. And also, I think it's really important to recognise that as a coach, you don't want people to play how you used to play. You want them to try, and your job as coach is to get the best out of them, to realise the potential and the style of cricket that they want, the type of cricket they want to play, and the type of cricketer they want to be. So that's certainly the job that I've got in front of me.
Yeah, are you going to try and sort of get a brand? I mean, it's a big word, isn't it? Everyone says, brand, the culture and everything. But do you think that's a big way of trying to sort of like get this England team forward? They look like they were just wandering about for the last couple of years and didn't quite have these roles. Is that brand of cricket something that you're going to be trying to sort of like force home a bit?
Yeah, one thing I would say as well is that I feel for the guys who are in the positions of leadership in the last couple of years. Like, the pandemic's been so difficult on so many people around the world, but also on cricket teams operating in bubbles and the pressures that come with that. And you lose a couple of games and things don't go according to plan, and there's no release. There's no place which you can sort of find your fix to be able to move on and turn the page. So I feel for those who have been there before. I guess the good thing now is we're kind of back to, things are a lot more normal than they've been over the last couple of years. And identity for the team, I think, is not too far away from what England's probably been in the past. It's maybe just been slightly freer. The most basic element the most basic way I can explain in the simplest form is we're going to try and take wickets with the ball. We're trying to absorb pressure at times with the bat and be able to identify times to put pressure back on the opposition, and be brave enough to do so. And in the field, we're just going to chase the ball hard to the boundary and give to the team. It's such a simple mindset, such a simple kind of template, and if you do it often enough, then and also be a good person, like be a good role model for the next generation of people coming through, so that you're a watchable team that people want to get in behind.
Lovely.
Tough as rewind 7 years and all that talk about the fear of failure that was around the white ball side and how that all shifted, actually following the model, Brendan, of your New Zealand side. I mean, we're having the similar conversations now, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, we are. I mean, listen, as I said earlier on in the show, one out of 17. I think it's going to take time. I think it's going to be, we're not going to go out there and all of a sudden go smashing things around. Let's, fingers crossed, hope it is. But the one thing that England, I found or have seen, is that when those pressure moments come on, the batting order doesn't step up. It's as simple as that. How are you going to do that? How are you going to sort of get that right?
Yeah, look, that's I guess one of the big jobs. I think there's some real talent there. If you look at the top of the order, you got a guy like Zach Crawley there who has got an immense amount of talent. He's got the ability to put opposition teams under pressure. He's not the finished product yet by any stretch of the imagination, but if we can find a way to really unlock something like that, then you're able to put a bit of pressure back on an opposition earlier on. You've got obviously Alex Lee's in there as well. He's going to play his style of cricket, which is a little different to Zach's, and that's we encourage that obviously. And then you've got Ollie Pope at 3, who I know lots been said about the fact that he hasn't batted at 3 before, but I kind of look at his game, and everyone talks about how good a player this guy is and how great a player he could become. Well, what better opportunity to do it than batting 3 for your country? That's where the best players bat, and what an opportunity to be able to go and own a position which has been troublesome of late. So they're the sorts of words that the kind of conversations that we'll have with the guys, and there's going to be times where it doesn't work, but you've got to keep backing these guys in, giving them long enough in those positions to be able to work out whether it does sit with them or it doesn't, in which case you've got to look elsewhere. But if you can get that part right, then you've got Joe Root, one of the game's greatest players, at 4. You've got a guy like Johnny Bairstow, sitting there at 5, who again has been in wonderful form. You've got Ben Stokes, captain, at 6. He's starting to formulate a world-class batting lineup, and it's not far away. I guess that's the key, and that's where you've just got to make sure your messaging's really positive and consistent.
You mentioned Joe Root, and obviously his run scoring has not been an issue for England, but he is no longer the captain. How's he fitted into training under a new skipper? I know it's been a couple of days, and it's all very new.
Oh, he's been excellent, actually. He's everyone that knows Joe, he's a wonderful human being, and he's done an incredible job of leading England in the last few years. And look, he hasn't had a great deal of help at times for one reason or another. He's kind of had to fly the thing solo, but he's one of those guys. The first conversation I had with him, he said, "I'll do whatever I need to do to help the team." He said, "I just want us to be the best cricket team we could possibly be," and I think that's a real testament to the character he is. And I think we're so lucky that, and Ben's really lucky that, his time as captain is going to have someone like Joe underneath who's going to just continue to reinforce the messages and the behaviours which that you want to be known for as a team, and let alone bang out runs for fun. So we're really lucky, and he's been fantastic, and we'll make sure that we keep using him and keep bringing him into the conversations as a leader. Just because he hasn't got the title now doesn't make him not a leader within the group.
Tuffers, we have spoken so much about the England form over the last 18 months, how England turn it around, but has there been too much focus on that? And actually, all these words that we're hearing from Rob Key, from Brendan, from Ben Stokes, actually it is quite simple. Just, there is a huge amount of talent in this England side.
Sure,
they've just got to show it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, mate, as my father always used to say, it's a game of bat and ball, son. You know what I mean? Thursday will come around, you go out there, you try and put your skills in, you don't try to get affected by the situation or Lords, and you go out and have a bit of fun, you know what I mean? I think this is what this England side have been missing a little bit. They haven't been playing too much with a smile on their face. Go out and enjoy it. It's the best time of your life. Drink it up. Not literally, that's where I perhaps made a mistake, but go out there and enjoy every single moment, because it'll soon be gone, and as I say, really looking forward. Good luck, Baz, on Thursday, mate. All the very best, and we'll have to catch up for a pint and a game of golf. I think I'm up in the series, aren't I?
Wow, that's right. I could only do what was required, which was to let the great cat win. But thanks very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Best of luck, Brendan, with that game of bat and ball on Thursday. We're all really excited. I think it's pretty clear, Tuffers, isn't it? There is just that real sense. There's that buzz around English cricket all of a sudden.
Well, I mean, you just listen to the guy. I wished I'd have, no disrespect to the England captains that I played under, obviously, but I'd have wished I'd have had a captain like Brendan. He's just so approachable, as you say, relaxed, got a great personality. But then there's that sort of great cricket brain under there, and he sits and he thinks, and he then tries to create this culture. It's a big word, and I think it's bandied about a lot, you know what I mean? But he just tries to get everyone freed up, as he said, freed up and enjoy yourself and enjoy the game of cricket. It's the best days of your life. And, you know, I mean, he was a fantastic player. And I think he's going to be a fantastic coach for England and a great foil for Ben Stokes.
Yeah, big thank you to Brendan McCullum for taking the time to join us, England's new men's Red Bull coach here on 5 Live Sport. And this quote, Tuffer, stood out to me from his first press conference. He said, "I might be terrible, I might change things completely, we'll see how we go. It's a big risk taken by everyone, but you don't get anywhere unless you're prepared to take a couple of risks."
Well, no, that's right. I mean, you know, people were sort of saying, "Oh, crikey, he hasn't had any inexperience," or this and this. Sometimes in life, you've got to take a bit of a punt, you know what I mean? You've got to sort of think to yourself, well, I can see what these guys have done, and sometimes too much experience sometimes can count against you because you're sort of a little bit set in your ways. I think Brendan will be going out there and he'll sort of like exude confidence, exude calmness, but also with that sort of like killer instinct underneath. And he'll keep it simple. Listen, us cricketers are quite simple folk. You know what I mean? They don't want to be bogged down sometimes by analysts and people saying this and that and tactics and sort of, well, we're going to bowl, you know, at the end of the day, bowl top of off stump. As he said, you know what I mean? It's lovely. I would have loved to have had that message when I was playing cricket. Go out there, take wickets, try and take a wicket and you know, field hard, bat well and put pressure on the opposition. You know what I mean? It's a fantastic, simplistic, but there's a lot behind it as well.
Tuffers, before we head off into the night, it is an exciting week. Not just because it's the first test match of the summer, but because it is this new era. What, finally, do we need to expect realistically, and be careful that we're not sort of disappointed if things don't quite go right in that first test match? Because there is so much anticipation.
Well, there is, but at the end of the day, as Baz there was saying, it's just a game of cricket. You know, if you get off to a good start, get a few runs in the bank. You know, England win the toss on a glorious sunny day on Thursday, go out there and score themselves 350, 400, and they're right in the game. So I'm not ruling anything out. What I don't want to see is the same mistakes happening from the boys. That's what will be disappointing. But I can't wait for Thursday. Come on.